All right, my next guest is Jessica Anderson. She's the executive director of Heritage Action. Thanks for coming on the program.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Okay, so we have this Protection of Women and Girls in Sports Act. In Minnesota, a judge just cleared the way for a biological male to compete in the women's division of powerlifting. I think there are some sports, like maybe golf, where men and women can, have co-recreation. I don't think biological women have a chance against biological men in powerlifting.
Yeah, it's actually not only the issue of fairness. There's so much more that's at stake here when you allow the left to just run rampant on collegiate sports. We're talking about women and girls that are now being left out of scholarship opportunities, of opportunities to advance to collegiate sports. And then what about their safety? When you allow trans men and women on opposite sports, you actually disrupt all of the locker rooms, restrooms, any sorts of areas that are for one sex.
You know what? Where are the old school feminists that fought for Title IX? Where are the old school feminists that sought to promote women in sports, the equivalent number of scholarships? How many men have to take a woman's scholarship before the old school feminists come out and say they've had enough? Or is it because they just won't ever join in with people like us?
You know, the women's rights movement is completely absent from this fight. Where are they in protecting women and girls? Why are they not standing up for an actual woman to be on the Hershey's candy bar or protecting girls' scholarships and safety? They're completely absent from this fight. And I think it actually goes to the real root of this problem, which is that the left desires to erase women. They don't want women to exist. And as a result, this transgender movement is just allowed to run rampant in our schools, our media, our culture, and now certainly on the sports field.
So you might have thought that free birth control or unfettered access to abortion, well, the left was on your side. But now they're saying, well, men are now women. Right? Everything you allegedly fought for, everything that you stood for to give women equal opportunities is now being erased by men who claim to be women.
It's incredibly frustrating to see this pendulum swing. And what's ironic of all of this is that there's actually two men in the United States Congress right now, Greg Steube of Florida and Tommy Tuberville in the Senate. Both of these men are standing up for women and girls by dropping the Protection for Women and Girls Sports Act, which would actually push back against Biden's Title IX regulation, which actively hurt and sought to erase women from the sports field. And it's men who are standing up in support of women. As I said, the women's rights movement is nowhere to be found.
Somebody envisioning themselves as a woman does not a woman make. And we're in a bizarre place where self-identification now trumps everything we know about humanity, biology, and science. Simply identifying as a woman does not make you a woman. No matter how many injections you take, how many surgeries you have, you're still a man or still a woman.
That's right. And there's a lot more to being a woman than just simply putting on a dress. It's biology. It's how God has made us. And there are distinct biological differences between men and women. That should be celebrated. It should be protected. And we should have lawmakers think seriously about their role, both at the state level and at the federal level, that will provide these protections, especially for women and girls when it comes to the sports arena, but then also larger than that on the cultural side as well.
You know, when we talk about mental health in this country and the mental health crisis, I think this is part of it. I think, there are probably some people that truly do have gender dysphoria, but we are putting children as young as 9 on this nonstop conveyor belt, from puberty blockers to cross-sex hormones to mutilation surgery. And some of these people now are reporting in the form of detransitioners that it didn't make them any happier. I mean, shouldn't our mental health services want to make people love who they are and accept who they are? You're a man. Be proud of it. You're a woman. Be proud of it. You can't be something else. Like you said, putting on a dress or cartoonish makeup or even having your body mutilated isn't going to change that. And a lot of these people are finding out that after they've permanently disfigured themselves, they're no happier and there's no going back.
You know, mental health, counseling services, healthcare, all of these services that exist on the social side should wrap their arms around kids that are struggling with mental health illness. They can do that with sympathy, they can do that with compassion, and they can understand that when you're 12 years old, when you're 9 years old, you shouldn't be forced to make a physical change that is completely irreversible, that when you change your mind 2-3 years later. That's why this industry is so dangerous, because it's promoting these changes to bodies of young girls, of young boys, that is irreversible. And so 2 years from now, when you change your mind and you go through the fullness of that mental health crisis, there's no turning back because the change is permanent. I'd like to instead see that these civil services and social services wrap their arms around these kids that obviously need help, that need the support of their community, get them that help without going underneath the knife and having this long-term repercussion.
I agree with you. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm out of time.
Thanks for having me.